श्री राधा विनोद विहरी जू की जय, श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर अश्वतश्मल भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर अश्वतश्मल श्रील भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर अश्वतश्मल श्रील भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर अश्वतश्मल श्रील भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु विष्णुपाद अश्वतर अश्वतश्मल श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नितिल विष्णु महाभागवत श्रील गोरक्षर बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नितिल विष्णु श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नितिल विष्णु वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबाजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूप गौरीय गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर प्रसाद वृंद की जय। नाम अचय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट पिराति गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री मुनि देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। भक्ति विघ्न विनाशंकरी श्री नृसिंह भगवान की जय। भक्त प्रभा श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त नारायणीति नामिने। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः। गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तरभक्ताय नमो नमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तम् अनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुस्तं सर्वभूत हृदयामुनिमानतोऽस्मि। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। शृण्वतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तन हृदन्तस्तो ह्यभद्राणि विधुनोति सुहृत्सतम्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भगवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। तवैवास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमां चरणान्तिकम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्षय क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वं शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Seshwari Mataji, and Rup Manjari Didi. Now I'm in your same time zone. I'm here in Los Angeles right now at Gaurasundar Prabhu's house in Los Angeles. And, oh, that's sweet. Yes, I'm also very grateful today on this day of Thanksgiving to everybody's encouragement. I would never get through the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam without all of you. I would never be able to keep it up, keeping me accountable. Dandavat Pranamas Madhavi Didi, Ganga Didi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantra Murti Mataji, Haribo, Jai Shri Radhe. And I don't know who this is watching on whatchamacallit, Gaudiya Kirtan Live. I am very tired right now, so just letting you know if I start to... What the heck happened? One second. Sorry guys, give me 1 second here. I thought I had this set up. How come it's not coming up right? Oh, that is so weird. Anyway, sorry guys, give me a second here. How come it's not? Yeah, I'm having trouble with something. Okay, let's read it from here then. 1 second, let me just go to database.io. Yeah, the website that I usually use isn't working right now, so we'll just read it from here. 7th Canto, Chapter 10. Prahlāda, the best among exalted devotees. Alright, first let's go over what we read. Okay, since this chapter is so long and we went over it so many times, I'm gonna go through it very quickly. So here, Prahlāda Maharaj's prayers at a glance. So Prahlāda went to appease Lord Nrsingadev, and could you... That's really distracting. Okay, sorry. Okay, so Prahlāda, he says, how can I satisfy you when even the Devas and Munis failed to do so? No material qualification can satisfy you. Only Bhakti can satisfy you. A low-born devotee is better than a Brahman non-devotee. Our offerings are for our benefit, not for your benefit. Yeah, you don't need anything from us. It's our opportunity to be able to offer prayers to you, to make offerings to you. I will offer prayers as per my ability for my own purification. And then he requests the Lord to give up his anger. He says, demigods are not fearful like us. You incarnate for your pleasure pastimes and protection of the universe. Your present form causes fearlessness. Please give up your anger. Then Prahlāda says, I'm not afraid of your fearful form. I'm afraid of conditioned life. I need your shelter. Material dualities have miserable remedies. The only real remedy is your service. I will chant your glories in the disciplic line and cross this nescience. Lord Nrsinga is the only shelter. Your energies manifest everything. Your shelter liberates us from Maya. You are the controller of Maya, so only you can deliver us. I have seen the futility of Ayu, which means longevity, Shriya, beauty, and Vibhav, which is opulences. like of my father. Let me serve your pure devotee sincerely. The happiness of this world is insubstantial. You have mercifully put your hand on my head, which is a favor that you did not bestow even on Lakshmi, Shiva, or Brahma. You are reciprocal, you are not partial. I went to serve Narad Muni, who saved me. You proved your devotee Narad's words true by saving me. Whatever exists is you alone. You and the cosmos are related, but you are aloof from it. As Mahavishnu, your Yoga Nidra is transcendental. As Garbhodakshay Vishnu, you gave birth to Brahma, who did tapasya and saw you. As Hayagriva, you gave the Vedas to Brahma. You are Tri Yuga. Let's read from that point. You are Tri Yuga, 38. Okay. Let's see. Where is it? Oh, it doesn't explain it here? Oh, it does explain it here. Okay. Okay. In this way, you incarnate as a human being, like Ram. You appear as an animal, like Varaha, a saint, Parshuram, a demigod, like Vaman, an aquatic, Matsya and Kurma, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my lord, you protect the principles of religion. In Kali Yuga, you do not assert yourself as a supreme lord. Thus you are known as Tri Yuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. Well, look, Channa. Channa means covered, doesn't it? And Kalo. So in Kali Yuga, you do not assert you come in a covered form. And what's that covered form? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here's evidence in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how the Lord is known as Tri Yuga. He manifests openly, directly in 3 yugas, but in the 4th yuga, in Kali Yuga, comes in a covered incarnation. Okay, representing a common man, Prahlāda humbly asked the Lord, constantly appearing, you shower the nectar of your form, qualities, and pastimes. But my sinful mind does not take pleasure in this. What shall I do? In this mood, Prahlāda speaks the next 3 verses. Prahlāda's humility and concern for the fallen souls. O Lord of Vaikuntha, my uncontrollable and dishonest mind is polluted by sinful activities and is not satisfied with your topics. It is afflicted by lust, so-called joy, distress, lamentation, fear, and desire for money. In such a mental status, how then can this wretch think of your activities? In the next verse, Prahlāda gives a reason why his mind has become so sinful. O infallible Lord, my unsatisfied tongue pulls me to palatable dishes. My genitals pull me for sex. My skin pulls me to touch soft things. My belly wants to eat more. My ear is attracted to mundane music. My sense of smell pulls me in another way. My restless eyes want the scenes of sense gratification, and my active senses are attracted elsewhere. I am like a person with many wives, each pulling him in her own way, and thus I have no time for chanting your glories. Link to the next verse. Prahlāda, a pure Vaishnava, prays not only for himself, but for the deliverance of all other living entities suffering in this material world. This is what we read from yesterday when I was in the airport. O Lord, you are on the other side of Vaitarani, the river of death. Vaitarani, sorry. Due to our karma, we have fallen into this river and are fearful, suffering the pains of birth and death. Now, by your causeless mercy and compassion, please help us cross this river. Note, here Prahlāda is not praying for his own deliverance only, but for everyone's. There are 2 classes of Vaishnavas. One is Bhajananandis, who worship the Lord for their own benefit, and Goshtanandis, who try to elevate all others to Krishna consciousness. That was in Srila Prabhupada's purport. O original Guru of the world, what is difficult for you who manage the universal affairs in delivering fallen souls? You are the friend of suffering humanity. Great people are merciful to the foolish. Note. Prahlāda says, "But why do you have to deliver us, my lord? We simply serve your dear devotees and get delivered." I am fearless, but concerned about the fools. I am not at all disturbed or afraid of the insurmountable material existence or Vaitarani river. Because my consciousness is fully absorbed in the nectarian bliss of chanting your glories. I simply lament for those who are averse to you and are making plans for their sense gratification. Such fools carry the burden of illusory happiness in maintaining their families, societies, and countries. Note. Prahlāda felt transcendental bliss because of his being Krishna conscious. Yet, he felt great unhappiness for fools who make elaborate plans to be happy in this material world. O Lord, I see many sages are generally interested only in their own deliverance. They practice silence and wander in solitary places, like the Himalayas, not caring for the deliverance of others. As for me, however, I do not wish to be liberated alone, leaving aside all these poor fools. I do not see any shelter other than you for those wandering blindly in this world. The material happiness of household life and sex life is insignificant. It is like the increased suffering created by rubbing itchy hands together. Despite such suffering, the lusty fools are not satisfied by repeated sense enjoyment. Knowing that the pleasure of such an itch is only a mental concoction, the sober people tolerate it. And now, in these last verses of Prahlāda Mahārāja's prayers, he talks about Bhakti, the ultimate refuge. The 10 methods, namely silence, vows, Vedic knowledge, austerity, scriptural study, occupational duty, explaining the Shastras, living alone, japa, and trance, are generally a professional practice and means of livelihood for those who cannot control their senses. Your energy manifests the cosmos and all forms of cause and effect within it. Just as a wise man can see how fire pervades wood, those engaged in bhakti understand how you are both the cause and effect. You are everything subtle and gross, including the air, earth, fire, sky, water, sense objects, life airs, 5 senses, mind, consciousness, and false ego. Anything expressed either by the words or by the wind are nothing but you. No one can understand you, including the 3 modes and their controlling deities, the 5 gross elements, mind, demigods, human beings, because they are all subjects to birth and annihilation. Considering this, the wise engage in bhakti. Link to the next verse. Since one cannot know the Lord by study and other methods, giving up any efforts to know him, one should strive to perform sadhan for attaining prema unto him. Prahlāda Mahārāja summarizes his prayers in this last verse. The 6 kinds of bhakti are offering prayers, stuti, dedicating the results of one's activities, karma, worshipping, performing puja, working on your behalf, that's also karma, remembering your lotus feet, smritish charanayo, and hearing your glories, shravanam katayam. How can one attain prema without these 6 types of bhakti? Now, Lord Nrsingadev's reply to Prahlāda's prayers. When Prahlāda described the qualities of Nrsingadev, who is devoid of material qualities, the Lord gave up his anger and spoke as follows. Gentle Prahlāda, all good fortune unto you. I am pleased with you. I fulfill the desires of all. You may ask me for any benediction. Seeing me is very rare for those who do not please me. But one who has seen or pleased me has nothing more to lament for one's satisfaction. May you live long. Only I can fulfill everyone's desires. Therefore the wise try to please me in all different rasas, for I am the master of all blessings. Prahlāda didn't desire any material boon, though he was born in a demoniac family and was allured by the Lord. It was due to his unalloyed bhakti. Alright, so that was a summary of the 9th chapter, and now we'll begin. Prahlāda Maharaj refuses to accept material benedictions, and Lord Nrsingadev's instructions, and Prahlāda's coronation. That's what we're reading today. Right, we're reading up to... Oh no, we're just reading the first 10. Okay, so we're just reading Lord Nrsingadev's instructions and Prahlāda's coronation. Reading up to verse 34. Right? No, we're reading up to verse 10. Sorry, guys. Okay. This chapter describes how the Supreme Personality of Godhead Nrsingadev disappeared after pleasing Prahlāda Maharaj. It also describes a benediction given by Lord Shiva. Lord Nrsingadev wanted to bestow benedictions upon Prahlāda Maharaj, one after another, but Prahlāda Maharaj, thinking them impediments on the path of spiritual progress, did not accept any of them. Instead, he fully surrendered at the Lord's lotus feet. He said, "If anyone engaged in the devotional service of the Lord prays for personal sense gratification, he cannot be called a pure devotee or even a devotee. He may be called only a merchant engaged in the business of give and take. Similarly, a master who wants to please his servant after taking service from him is also not a real master." Prahlāda Maharaj therefore did not ask anything from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, he said that if the Lord wanted to give him a benediction, he wanted the Lord to assure him that he would never be induced to take any benedictions for the sake of material desires. Exchanges of devotional service for lusty desires are always very prominent. As soon as lusty desires awaken, one's senses, mind, life, soul, religious principles, patience, intelligence, shyness, beauty, strength, memory, and truthfulness are all vanquished. One can render unalloyed devotional service only when there are no material desires in one's mind. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was greatly pleased with Prahlāda Maharaj for his unalloyed devotion. Yet the Lord provided him one material benediction, that he would be perfectly happy in this world and live his next life in Vaikuntha. The Lord gave him the benediction that he would be the king of this material world until the end of the Manvantara millennium, and that although in this material world he would have the facility to hear the glories of the Lord and depend fully on the Lord, performing service to him in an uncontaminated... Let me reread that. He gave him the benediction that he would have the facility to hear the glories of the Lord and depend fully on the Lord, performing service to him in an uncontaminated bhakti yoga. The Lord advised Prahlāda to perform sacrifices through bhakti yoga, for this is the duty of a king. Prahlāda Maharaj accepted whatever the Lord had offered him, and he prayed for the Lord to deliver his father. In response to this prayer, the Lord assured him that in the family of such a pure devotee as he, not only the devotee's father, but his forefathers for 21 generations are liberated. The Lord also asked Prahlāda to perform the ritualistic ceremonies appropriate after his father's death. Then Lord Brahma, who was also present, offered many prayers to the Lord, expressing his obligation to the Lord for having offered benedictions to Prahlāda Maharaj. The Lord advised Lord Brahma not to offer benedictions to asuras as he had to Hiranyakashipu, for such benedictions indulge them. Then Lord Nrsingadev disappeared. On that day, Prahlāda Maharaj was installed on the throne of the world by Lord Brahma and Shukracharya. Oh, Shukracharya finally showed up. Thus Narad Muni described the character of Prahlāda Maharaj for Yudhishthira Maharaj, and he further described the killing of Ravan by Lord Ramachandra and the killing of Shishupal and Dantavakra in Dwapar Yuga. Shishupala, of course, had merged into the existence of the Lord and thus achieved Sayujya Mukti. Narad Muni praised Yudhishthira Maharaj because the Supreme Lord Krishna was the greatest well-wisher and friend of the Pandavas, and almost always stayed in their house. Thus the fortune of the Pandavas was greater than that of Prahlāda Maharaj. Later, Narad Muni described how the demon Maya Danava constructed Tripura for the demons, who became very powerful and defeated the demigods. Because of this defeat, Lord Rudra Shiva dismantled Tripura. Thus he became famous as Tripurari. For this, Rudra is very much appreciated and worshipped by the demigods. This narration occurs at the end of the chapter. Alright, so let's begin. Yeah, so we're only doing 10 verses today, short reading. Shri Narad Uvacha. One second, let me put it in advanced view. Okay. Shri Narad Uvacha. Bhakti yogyasya tat sarvam antarayatayarbhaka manyamana hrishikesham smayamana uvachaha. The saint Narad Muni continued, although Prahlāda Maharaj was only a boy, when he heard the benedictions offered by Lord Nrsingadev, he considered them impediments on the path of devotional service. Thus he smiled very mildly and spoke as follows. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Material achievements are not the ultimate goal of devotional service. The ultimate goal of devotional service is love of Godhead. Therefore, although Prahlāda Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, Ambarish Maharaj, Yudhishthira Maharaj, and many devotee kings were materially very opulent, they accepted their material opulence in the service of the Lord, not for their personal sense gratification. Of course, possessing material opulence is always fearful, because under the influence of material opulence, one may be misdirected from devotional service. Nonetheless, a pure devotee, who is anyabhilashita shunyam, is never misdirected by material opulence. On the contrary, whatever he possesses, he engages 100% in the service of the Lord. When one is allured by material possessions, they are considered to be given by Maya. But when one uses material possessions fully for service, they are considered God's gifts, or facilities offered by Krishna for enhancing one's devotional service. It's interesting how it always says Shri Prahlāda Uvacha, not Prahlāda. Shri Prahlāda Uvacha Namam pralobhayotpatya saktam kameshu tarvarai tatsanga bhito nirvinno mumukshustvam upashrita. Prahlāda Maharaj said, My dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, because I was born in an atheistic family, I am naturally attached to material enjoyment. Therefore, kindly do not tempt me with these illusions. I am very much afraid of material conditions, and I desire to be liberated from materialistic life. It is for this reason that I have taken shelter of your lotus feet. Purport. Materialistic life means attachments to the body and everything in relationship to the body. This attachment is based on lusty desires for sense gratification, specifically sexual enjoyment. Kamaistaster hrita jnana. When one is too attached to material enjoyment, he is bereft of all knowledge, hrita jnana. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, those who are attached to material enjoyment are mostly inclined to worship the demigods to procure various material opulences. They are especially attached to the worship of the goddess Durga and Lord Shiva, because the transcendental couple can offer their devotees all material opulence. Because this transcendental couple can offer the devotees all material opulence. Prahlāda Maharaj, however, was detached from all material enjoyment. He therefore took shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev, and not the feet of any demigod. It is to be understood that if one really wants release from this material world, from the threefold miseries, from Janma, Mritu, Jara, Vyadi, birth, death, old age, and disease, then one must take shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for without the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot get release from materialistic life. Atheistic men are very much attached to material enjoyment. Therefore, if they get some opportunity to achieve more and more material enjoyment, they take it. Prahlāda Maharaj, however, was very careful in this regard. Although born of a materialistic father, because he was a devotee, he had no material desires. He was anyabhilashita shunyam. Vritta lakshana jigyasur bhaktam kameshvacho dayat bhavan sangsara bijeshu hridaya grantishu prabho. O my worshipable Lord, because the seed of lusty desires, which is the root cause of material existence, is within the core of everyone's heart, you have sent me to this material world to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee. Purport. One second, just checking everything. Oh, Dandavat Pranam Sakaragaraji. Okay, so purport. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has given considerable discussion about Nitya Siddha and Sadhan Siddha devotees. Nitya Siddha devotees come from Vaikuntha to this material world to teach, by their personal example, how to become a devotee. The living entities in this material world can take lessons from such Nitya Siddha devotees, and thus become inclined to return home back to Godhead. A Nitya Siddha devotee comes from Vaikuntha upon the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and shows by his example how to become a pure devotee, anyabhilashita shunyam. In spite of coming to this material world, the Nitya Siddha devotee is never attracted by the allurements of material enjoyment. A perfect example is Prahlāda Maharaj, who was a Nitya Siddha, a Maha-Bhagavat devotee. Although Prahlāda was born in the family of Hiranyakashipu, an atheist, he was never attached to any kind of materialistic enjoyment. Desiring to exhibit the symptoms of a pure devotee, the Lord tried to induce Prahlāda Maharaj to take material benedictions, but Prahlāda Maharaj did not accept them. On the contrary, by his personal example, he showed the symptoms of a pure devotee. In other words, the Lord himself has no desire to send his pure devotee to this material world, nor does a devotee have any material purpose in coming. When the Lord himself appears as an incarnation within this material world, he is not allured by the material atmosphere, and he has nothing to do with material activity. Yet, by his example, he teaches the common man how to become a devotee. Similarly, a devotee who comes here in accordance with the order of the Supreme Lord shows by his personal behavior how to become a pure devotee. A pure devotee, therefore, is a practical example for all living entities, including Lord Brahma. Nanyata te kila guru ghateta karunatmana yasta shisha ashaste yasta ashisha ashaste nasabhritya savaivanik. Otherwise, O my Lord, O Supreme Instructor of the entire world, you are so kind to your devotee that you could not induce him to do something unbeneficial for him. On the other hand, one who desires some material benefit in exchange for devotional service cannot be your pure devotee. Indeed, he is no better than a merchant who wants profit in exchange for service. Purport. It is sometimes found that one comes to a devotee or a temple of the Lord just to get some material benefit. Such a person is described here as a mercantile man. Bhagavad Gita speaks of artho jigyasur artharthi. The word artha refers to one who is physically distressed, and artharthi refers to one in need of money. Such persons are forced to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead for mitigation of their desires, or to get some money by the benediction of the Lord. They have been described as sukriti, pious, because in their distress or need for money, they have approached the Supreme Lord. Unless one is pious, one cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, although a pious man may receive some material benefit, one who is connected with material benefits cannot be a pure devotee. When a pure devotee receives material opulences, this is not because of his pious activity, but for the service of the Lord. When one engages in devotional service, one is automatically pious. Therefore, a pure devotee is anyabhilashita shunyam. He has no desire for material profit, nor does the Lord induce him to try to profit materially. When a devotee needs something, the Supreme Personality of Godhead supplies it. yogakshemam vahamyaham. Sometimes materialists go to a temple to offer flowers and fruits to the Lord, because they have learned from Bhagavad Gita that if a devotee offers some flowers and fruits, the Lord accepts them. In Bhagavad Gita 9.26, the Lord says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yame bhakta prayachati taraham bhaktupahritam ashnami prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Thus, a man with a mercantile mentality thinks that if he can get some material benefit, like a large amount of money, simply by offering a little fruit and flower, this is good business. Such persons are not accepted as pure devotees. Because their desires are not purified, they are still mercantile men, even though they go to temples to make a show of being devotees. Sarvapari vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam. Only when one is fully freed from material desires can one be purified, and only in that purified state can one serve the Lord. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. This is pure devotion. This is the pure devotional platform. Ashasano navai bhritya swaminya shisha atmana na swami bhrityata swamyam ichanyo raticha shisha. A servant who desires material profits from his master is certainly not a qualified servant or pure devotee. Similarly, a master who bestows benedictions upon his servants because of a desire to maintain a prestigious position as master is also not a pure master. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 7.20, Kamaistaster hita jnana prapadyante nyadevata. Those whose minds are distorted by material desires surrender unto the demigods. A demigod cannot become master, for the real master is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The demigods, to keep their prestigious positions, bestow upon their worshippers whatever benedictions the worshippers want. For example, once it was found that an asura took a benediction from Lord Shiva, by which the asura would be able to kill someone simply by placing his hands on that person's head. Such benedictions are possible to receive from the demigods. If one worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, the Lord will never offer him such condemned benedictions. On the contrary, it is said in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 10.88.8, Yasyaham anugrinami harishyetad dhanang shanai. If one is too materialistic, but at the same time wants to be a servant to the Supreme Lord, the Lord, because of his supreme compassion for the devotee, takes away all his material opulences and obliges him to be a pure devotee of the Lord. Prahlāda Maharaj distinguishes between the pure devotee and the pure master. The Lord is the pure master, the supreme master, whereas an unalloyed devotee with no material motives is the pure servant. One who has materialistic motivations cannot become a servant, and one who unnecessarily bestows benedictions upon his servants to keep his own prestigious position is not a real master. Aham takamasvar bhaktas tam cha samya napashaya nanyate havayorartho rajaseva kayoriva. O my Lord, I am your unmotivated servant, and you are my eternal master. There is no need of our being anything other than master and servant. You are naturally my master, and I am naturally your servant. We have no other relationship. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Jiver Sarupa Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. Every living being is eternally a servant of the Supreme Lord, Krishna. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 5.29, Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarva loka maheshwaram. I am the proprietor of all planets, and I am the supreme enjoyer. This is the natural position of the Lord, and the natural position of the living being is to surrender unto him. Sarvadharma parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. If this relationship continues, then real happiness exists eternally between the master and servant. Unfortunately, when this eternal relationship is disturbed, the living entity wants to become separately happy and thinks that the master is his order supplier. In this way, there cannot be happiness. nor should the master cater to the desires of the servant. If he does, he is not the real master. The real master commands, "You must do this," and the real servant immediately obeys the order. Unless this relationship between the Supreme Lord and the subordinate living entity is established, there can be no real happiness. The living entity is Ashray, always subordinate, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Vishay, the supreme objective, the goal of life. Unfortunate persons trapped in this material world do not know this. Nate vidu svarta gatim hi Vishnum. Illusioned by the material energy, everyone in this material world is unaware that the only aim of life is to approach Lord Vishnu. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram devi tadiyanam samarchanam. In the Padma Puran, Lord Shiva explains to his wife Parvati, the goddess Durga, that the highest goal of life is to satisfy Lord Vishnu, who can be satisfied only when his servant is satisfied. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore teaches, Gopi bhartu padakamalayur dasa dasa anudasa. One must become a servant of the servant. Prahlāda Maharaj also prayed to Lord Nrsingadev that he might be engaged as the servant of the Lord's servant. This is the prescribed method of devotional service. As soon as a devotee wants the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be his order supplier, the Lord immediately refuses to become the master of such a motivated devotee. In Bhagavad Gita 4:11, the Lord says, Ye yata mang prapadyante tang sataiva bhajamyaham. As one surrenders unto me, I reward him accordingly. Materialistic persons are generally inclined to they're generally inclined to material profits. As long as one continues in such an adulterated position, he does not receive the benefit of returning home back to Godhead. Yadi dasyasi me kamam varangstam varadarshava kamanam hridasam samroham bhavataste vrine varam. O my Lord, best of the givers of benediction, if you at all want to bestow a desirable benediction upon me, then I pray from your Lordship that within the core of my heart there be no material desires. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us how to pray for benedictions from the Lord. He said, Na dhanam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadishakamaye mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatar bhaktir ahaitukitvayi. O my Lord, I do not want from you any amount of wealth, nor many followers, nor a beautiful wife, for these all are materialistic desires. But if I have to ask you for any benediction, I pray that in whatever forms of life I may take my birth, under any circumstances, I will not be bereft of your transcendental devotional service. Devotees are always on the positive platform, in contrast to the Mayavadis, who want to make everything impersonal or void. One cannot remain void, one cannot remain Shunyavadi. Rather, one must possess something. One must possess something. Therefore, the devotee, on the positive side, wants to possess something, and this possession is very nicely described by Prahlāda Maharaj, who says, If I must take some benediction from you, I pray that within the core of my heart there may be no material desires. The desire to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead is not at all material. Indriyani mana prana atma dharma dhritirmati Hrishristeja smriti satyam yasya nashyanti janmana. O my Lord, because of lusty desires from the very beginning of one's birth, the functions of one's senses, mind, life, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory, and truthfulness are vanquished. Purport. As stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Kamam Hridrogam, materialistic life means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease caused by lusty desire. Sorry, I'm a little spaced out. It's called lusty desire. Material life means that one is afflicted by a formidable disease called lusty desire. Liberation means freedom from lusty desires, because it is only due to such desires that one must accept repeated birth and death. As long as one's lusty desires are unfulfilled, one must take birth after birth to fulfill them. Because of material desires, therefore, one performs various types of activities and receives various types of bodies with which to try to fulfill desires that are never satisfied. The only remedy is to take to devotional service, which begins when one is free from all material desires. Anya bilashita shunyam. Anya abhilashita means material desire, and shunyam means free from. The spiritual soul has spiritual activities and spiritual desires, as described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mama janmani janmanishvare bhavatar bhaktir ahituki tvai. Unalloyed devotion to the service of the Lord is the only spiritual desire. To fulfill this spiritual desire, however, one must be freed from all material desires. Desirelessness means freedom from material desires. This is described by Srila Rupa Goswami as Anyabhilashita Shunyam. As soon as one has material desires, one loses his spiritual identity. Then all the paraphernalia of one's life, including one's senses, body, religion, patience, and intelligence, are deviated from one's original Krishna consciousness. As soon as one has material desires, one cannot properly use his senses, intelligence, mind, and so on for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mayavadi philosophers want to become impersonal, senseless, and mindless, but that is not possible. The living entity must be living, always existing with desires, ambitions, and so on. These should be purified, however, so that one can desire spiritually and be spiritually ambitious, without material contamination. In every living entity, these propensities exist because he is a living entity. When materially contaminated, however, one is put into the hands of material misery, janma mritu jara vyadi. If one wants to stop repeated birth and death, one must take to devotional service of the Lord. Sarvapadi vinir muktam tat paratvena nirmilam. Hrishikena hrishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Bhakti, or devotional service, means engaging all of our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and simply by being employed in the service of the Lord, one's senses are purified. Text 9. Vimunchati yada kaman manavo manasi stitan tarheva pundari kaksha bhagavatvaya kalpate. Oh, I kind of recognize this verse. Let's see. O my Lord, when a human being is able to give up all the material desires in his mind, he becomes eligible to possess wealth and opulence like yours. Now, maybe I'm not familiar with this verse. Okay, one second. Purport. Atheistic men sometimes criticize a devotee by saying, if you do not want to take any benediction from the Lord, and if the servant of the Lord is as opulent as the Lord himself, why do you ask for the benediction of being engaged as the Lord's servant? Sridhar Swami comments, Bhagavataya Bhagavat Saman Aishvaryaya. Bhagavatva, becoming as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not mean becoming one with him or equal to him, although in the spiritual world the servant is equally as opulent as the master. The servant of the Lord is engaged in the service of the Lord as a servant. He's engaged in the service of the Lord as a servant, friend, father, mother, or conjugal lover, all of whom are equally as opulent as the Lord. This is a chinta bheda bheda tattva. The master and servant are different, yet equal in opulence. This is the meaning of simultaneous difference from the Supreme Lord and oneness with him. Om Namo Bhagavate Tubhyam Purushaya Mahatmane Harayed Bhutta Singhaya Brahmane Paramatmane. O my Lord, full of 6 opulences, O Supreme Person, O Supreme Soul, killer of all miseries, O Supreme Person in the form of a wonderful lion and man, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. In the previous verse, Prahlāda Maharaj has explained that a devotee can achieve the platform of Bhagavatva, being as good as a Supreme Person. But this does not mean that the devotee loses his position as a servant. A pure servant of the Lord, although as opulent as the Lord, is still meant to offer respectful obeisances to the Lord in service. Prahlāda Maharaj was engaged in pacifying the Lord, and therefore he did not consider himself equal to the Lord. He defined his position as a servant and offered respectful obeisances unto the Lord. All right, so that's our reading for today. Wow, we ended super early today. And tomorrow we will read about Lord Nrsingadev's instructions and Prahlāda's coronation. So Lord Nrsingadev will instruct Prahlāda to enjoy opulences and perform bhakti yoga. Then Prahlāda prays for Hiranyakashipu's deliverance. Lord Nrsingadev glorifies the potency of devotees in purifying their dynasties. Then Prahlāda will perform the last rites of his father, and Brahma offers his prayers to Lord Nrsingadev. Then Lord Nrsinga cautions Brahma not to give such benedictions to demons again, and then departs. So we'll read all about that tomorrow. All right. Yes, that is really nice. Who can be satisfied? Only when a servant is satisfied. Interesting that he calls out patience as one of the things one loses with Anyavilash. Yeah, that is interesting, isn't it? All right, Prahlāda Maharaj ki jai, Shri Nrsinga Bhagavan ki jai. Oh, just one thing I wanted to mention today. Oh, Indira Mataji is there. Are you finally caught up, Indira Mataji? So now I had a 1-year subscription for this streaming service that I'm using called Restream, and I got it on the Black Friday deal that they had, which it's Black Friday now, and there's 50% off. And it's really expensive normally, but yeah, I got 50% off, and so it's still kind of expensive, but it's $245 for a full year. And so if anybody would like to help contribute anything towards that so that I can extend it for another year, yeah, you can. My PayPal email is Madhukar. I'll just write it right here. 1 second. Yeah, that's my PayPal email. If anybody would like to help contribute towards that. Otherwise, I do have some Gaudiya Kirtan money. I could probably use that for this, even though it's not directly that wouldn't be using it directly for the Gaudiya Kirtan app. But I do sometimes use this for Gaudiya Kirtan. It's better if I can get money separately, otherwise it's not the end of the world. But yeah, if anybody would like to help contribute towards that, it's $245 a year for me to use this service, Restream. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Jaya Nrsingadev 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 Jaya Nrsingadev Jaya Bhakta Prahlāda Bhakta Prahlāda Bhakta Prahlāda Jaya Bhakta Prahlāda Jai Gurudeva 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 Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju Ki Jai Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Shila Guru Dev Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Shila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashtatarashatashmad Shila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Mahabhagavat Shila Gorksharas Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Shila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Nitil Pravishta Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga Ki Jai Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jeev Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath Shar Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaura Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Sarva Abhishta Bharati Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund Ki Jai Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi Ki Jai Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi Ki Jai Shri Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya Ki Jai Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev Ki Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Shri Nrsinga Bhagavan Ki Jai Bhakta Pravar Shri Prahlāda Maharaj Ki Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vrindai Tulsidevai Priyai Keshavashacha Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi Sattvatai Namo Namaha Dandavat Pranams everybody. So, one more announcement. I might not be able to read tomorrow because tomorrow in the afternoon we're going to be driving up to Badger. I'm going to be going up with my parents, and so I'll probably be in the car at this time. I might try pre-recording a video in the morning tomorrow and then make it go live at this time so that we don't break our flow, but I might not do that also, so there's a chance I might read the day after tomorrow. All right, so yeah, see you all maybe the day after tomorrow or maybe the day after tomorrow. We'll see. All right, Dandavat Pranams everybody. Oh yeah, Madhavi Didi, yeah, I was feeling a bit tired before I started reading, but now I'm feeling awake, so yeah. Haribol, Dandavat Pranams everybody. Okay, closing out. Jai Shri Ram.